Did you know that something you might be eating every single day, thinking it's the picture of health, could actually be quietly working against you after 60? We've been told for so long that this food is a breakfast staple, a protein powerhouse, something simple and good for you. But as we get a little older, the way our bodies handle certain things changes, and what was once perfectly fine, or even beneficial daily, might start causing subtle problems you're not even aware of. Imagine feeling just a little bit sluggish, or maybe noticing your cholesterol numbers creeping up, or dealing with unexpected digestive issues, and never connecting it to this one seemingly innocent daily habit. It's frustrating when you're trying to do everything right for your health. Isn't it you deserve to know the full picture? The often overlooked truth about a food that's been a constant in many of our lives. In this video, we're going to uncover why eating eggs daily after 60 might not be the best strategy for everyone, and what you need to consider. There's a simple shift in perspective that can make a big difference. Make sure you watch all the way to the end, because there's something we'll discuss that might truly surprise you and change how you think about this common food. Now, let's really dig into this. Starting with the very heart of the matter, when we talk about eggs and older adults, the cholesterol connection. For years, eggs got a pretty bad rap because of their cholesterol content. One large egg has quite a bit of it, around 185 milligrams. The concern was always that eating dietary cholesterol would directly translate into higher blood cholesterol, specifically the LDL or bad cholesterol, which is a known risk factor for heart disease. This led to widespread advice to limit egg consumption, sometimes even to just a couple a week. However, in more recent years, the scientific understanding has evolved significantly. We learned that for most people, dietary cholesterol from food like eggs doesn't have a huge impact on blood cholesterol levels. The liver is the main producer of cholesterol in our body, and when we eat more cholesterol, the liver tends to produce less, maintaining a balance. So, the focus shifted more towards saturated and trans fats as the primary culprits for raising blood cholesterol. This led to a sort of rehabilitation of the egg's image, with many health guidelines relaxing their restrictions, stating that eggs are fine for most healthy people. But here's where it gets a little more nuanced, especially as we move into our 60s and beyond. While it's true that for most healthy people, dietary cholesterol isn't the main issue, most people isn't everyone. And as we age, our bodies can become less efficient at regulating cholesterol. We might have underlying health conditions we didn't have in our younger years, like type 2 diabetes, established heart disease, or even genetic predispositions that make us more sensitive to dietary cholesterol. For these individuals, consuming a significant amount of cholesterol daily from sources like eggs might still pose a risk and could contribute to elevated blood cholesterol levels, potentially worsening their conditions or increasing their risk. Think about it this way. Imagine your body's cholesterol regulation system as a finely tuned machine. In younger, healthy individuals, this machine is very good at adjusting. If you eat more cholesterol, it slows down its own production. But as we age, this machine might not be quite as responsive. It might not slow down its production as effectively when you consume high amounts of dietary cholesterol every single day. So, the cholesterol you eat becomes more likely to contribute to your blood levels than it would have in your 30s or 40s. This isn't a universal truth for every single person over 60, but it's a possibility that becomes more relevant when considering daily consumption. Furthermore, while the focus shifted away from dietary cholesterol to saturated fat, eggs do contain saturated fat. A large egg has about 1.6 grams of saturated fat. While this isn't a massive amount, if you're eating 1 or 2 eggs every single day, and your overall diet is also high in other sources of saturated fat, like fatty meats, full-fat dairy, or fried foods, those grams can add up. A diet consistently high in saturated fat is still strongly linked to increased LDL cholesterol and a higher risk of heart disease. So, even if the cholesterol in the egg itself isn't the primary issue for you, the saturated fat might be. especially when consumed daily as part of a diet that isn't carefully managed in terms of overall fat intake. The key takeaway here is that after 60, our metabolic landscape often changes. We're more likely to have conditions that are sensitive to dietary factors. What's a moderate intake for a younger person might be a higher risk intake for an older adult with specific health challenges. Daily egg consumption means a daily dose of cholesterol and saturated fat for someone managing high cholesterol, heart disease, or diabetes. This daily dose, even if seemingly small, could be enough to nudge things in the wrong direction over time. It's not about eggs being inherently bad, but about whether daily consumption is the wisest choice given the potential changes in our bodies and health status as we age. It requires a more personalized approach, perhaps looking at frequency rather than outright avoidance for many, but understanding that for some, daily might be too much. It's about considering the cumulative effect over time and how it interacts with your unique health profile right now. This brings us to other aspects of daily egg consumption that are worth considering as we get older, which aren't just about cholesterol or saturated fat, and delve into how our bodies process and react to foods differently with age. Moving beyond the cholesterol conversation, let's think about other potential impacts of eating eggs daily as we age, particularly concerning inflammation and digestion. While eggs are nutrient-dense, containing vitamins, minerals, and protein, introducing the same food into your digestive system and metabolic pathways every single day can have subtle effects, especially when our bodies aren't as resilient as they once were. Inflammation is a natural process in the body, a response to injury or infection. However, chronic low-grade inflammation, which can be triggered by various factors including diet, is increasingly linked to age-related diseases like heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and even cognitive decline. While eggs themselves aren't inherently inflammatory for most people, individual sensitivities can develop over time. Some people might find that daily consumption of eggs, particularly certain parts like the yolk, which is higher in fat, contributes to a feeling of subtle inflammation in their body. This isn't an overt allergic reaction, but more of a low-level response that, when occurring daily, can contribute to the overall inflammatory burden on the body. It's like a tiny, persistent stressor that your system has to deal with day in and day out. For someone already dealing with inflammatory conditions like arthritis, or trying to manage their risk of heart disease, minimizing potential dietary triggers for inflammation becomes more important. While research on eggs and inflammation is mixed and depends heavily on the individual and their overall diet, the possibility that daily consumption could be a contributing factor for some older adults, especially those with existing inflammatory issues, is something to consider. Rotating your foods is generally a good strategy to avoid potential sensitivities and ensure a broader spectrum of nutrients. And daily eggs don't allow for that rotation in your breakfast protein, for example. Then there's the digestive aspect. As we age, our digestive systems can slow down a bit. The production of digestive enzymes might decrease. Gut motility can change, and the balance of gut bacteria can shift. Eggs, particularly when prepared in certain ways like fried or scrambled with added fats, can be heavier on the digestive system for some people. A daily serving of eggs might be contributing to feelings of sluggishness, mild bloating, or just a general sense that digestion isn't as smooth as it could be. While a single egg might not cause noticeable issues, the cumulative effect of processing them every day could be taxing for a system that's already not as efficient. This isn't a widespread issue for everyone, of course, but if you find yourself experiencing persistent, mild digestive discomfort and you're eating eggs daily, it's worth considering if there might be a connection. Sometimes, simply reducing the frequency or changing the preparation method like poaching or boiling instead of frying can make a difference. We also need to consider the balance of nutrients when something is eaten daily. While eggs are nutritious, relying on them every single day, for a significant portion of your protein or fat intake means you might be missing out on the diverse array of nutrients offered by other foods. For example, varying your protein sources to include plant-based options like beans, lentils, or tofu, and other animal sources like fish or lean poultry provides different profiles of amino acids, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Fish offers omega-3 fatty acids, which are crucial for heart and brain health, and are not found in significant amounts in eggs. Plant proteins come with fiber, which is often lacking in the diets of older adults and is vital for digestive health and blood sugar control. Daily eggs, while providing certain nutrients, don't provide everything, and by filling that dietary slot every day, you might be limiting your intake of other beneficial foods simply due to appetite or habit. It's not that eggs are lacking in nutrients, but rather that nutritional diversity is key as we age to ensure we're getting all the different vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients our bodies need to function optimally and protect against disease. Daily consumption of any single food, no matter how nutritious, can inadvertently lead to a less diverse diet overall. Let's not forget about choline. Eggs are an excellent source of choline, an essential nutrient important for brain health, muscle function, and liver function. This is often highlighted as a major benefit of eating eggs. And indeed, choline is crucial, especially as we age, for maintaining cognitive function. However, there's also research suggesting that in some individuals, particularly those with certain gut bacteria profiles, the choline from eggs can be converted into a compound called TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide. Elevated levels of TMAO in the blood have been linked to an increased risk of heart disease, including atherosclerosis and blood clots. While the research is still evolving and complex, and the effect varies greatly between individuals based on their gut microbiome, it's another potential factor to consider with daily egg consumption. It's not a reason to panic or avoid eggs entirely, but it adds another layer of complexity to the "are eggs good or bad?" question, especially when considering daily intake in an older population potentially already at higher risk for heart issues. The body's complex interactions with food change, and something that provides a necessary nutrient like choline might, in some individuals, also contribute to a compound linked to increased risk for something else we are trying to avoid. This isn't meant to be alarming, but rather to highlight that nutrition isn't always straightforward, and daily intake of even good foods warrants consideration as we get older and our bodies change. This brings us to the practical side of things. What does this actually mean for your plate? And how can you navigate this information without feeling confused or deprived? So, after considering the cholesterol nuances, potential inflammatory responses, digestive considerations, nutrient diversity, and even the TMAO factor, what's the practical takeaway for you? Does this mean you should never eat an egg again after 60? Absolutely not. Eggs are still a highly nutritious food. They are an excellent source of high-quality protein, which is incredibly important for maintaining muscle mass as we age. They contain valuable vitamins like D, one of the few food sources, B12, and nutrients like selenium and lutein and zeaxanthin, which are good for eye health. The point isn't to demonize eggs, but to question whether daily consumption is the optimal strategy for everyone over 60, particularly considering the increased likelihood of managing various health conditions at this age. The danger, if we can call it that, of daily egg consumption after 60 isn't necessarily a guaranteed immediate harm, but rather a potential increased risk or exacerbation of existing conditions for some individuals over time. It's about cumulative effect and individual variability. So, instead of daily, consider frequency. Could having eggs 2 to 4 times a week be a better approach? This allows you to enjoy the benefits of eggs, the protein, the nutrients, while also creating space in your diet for other nutrient-rich foods throughout the week. Maybe some mornings you have Greek yogurt with berries and nuts for protein and probiotics. Other mornings could be oatmeal with fruit and seeds for fiber and complex carbs. Then, a couple of mornings a week, You can enjoy your eggs, perhaps prepared healthily like a vegetable scramble or a simple boiled egg. This rotation naturally increases the diversity of nutrients you're getting. Consider how you prepare your eggs. 2. Frying eggs in butter or animal fat daily adds significant amounts of saturated fat. Boiling, poaching, or scrambling with a little bit of healthy oil like olive oil or avocado oil is a much better choice. Pairing your eggs with vegetables like spinach, mushrooms, or peppers in a scramble instead of just bacon or sausage adds fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, creating a more balanced meal. Listen to your body. Are you experiencing any of the subtle issues we talked about? Digestive discomfort, feeling sluggish after eating eggs? Or maybe your doctor has mentioned concerns about your cholesterol or inflammation markers. If so, try reducing the frequency of egg consumption and see if you notice any difference. Keep an open conversation with your doctor or a registered dietitian, especially if you have existing health conditions. They can provide personalized advice based on your specific health profile, medications, and overall diet. Nutritional needs and tolerances are highly individual, and what works perfectly for one person might not be ideal for another, even at the same age. Think about where else you're getting your protein. Are you relying heavily on eggs because it's easy? Exploring other protein sources can not only provide different nutrients, but also help you reduce the frequency of egg consumption naturally. Things like lentils in soups or stews, beans in salads or chili, tofu in stir-fries, fish a couple of times a week, or even just a handful of nuts and seeds as a snack can all contribute to your daily protein needs without requiring daily eggs. Ultimately, the truth about eggs after 60 isn't that they're suddenly poisonous, but that the concept of daily consumption needs careful consideration. It's about stepping away from the idea that any single food is a magic bullet or, conversely, a complete villain. It's about balance, frequency, preparation, and most importantly, how a food interacts with your unique body and health status at this stage of your life. The surprise I mentioned earlier, it's perhaps the realization that even seemingly innocent, widely accepted health advice about a food like eggs can change or require nuance as we age. And that paying attention to these subtle shifts is a powerful way to take charge of your health. It's not about restriction, but about smarter choices. To recap, while eggs are nutritious, eating them daily after 60 might pose increased risks for some individuals due to potential impacts on cholesterol levels, especially with underlying conditions, possible links to low-grade inflammation or digestive discomfort, and the potential to displace other diverse, nutrient-rich foods in your diet. The key is moderation, individual assessment, smart preparation, and listening to your body. You don't have to give up eggs, but perhaps shifting from a daily habit to a few times a week habit could be a simple yet effective adjustment for better long-term health. Making small adjustments to your diet and habits can truly make a world of difference in how you feel day to day and in your long-term health prospects. It's not about drastic changes, but about mindful choices. Remember, you are in the driver's seat when it comes to your well-being. And understanding how different foods affect you at this age is empowering. What are your thoughts on this? Have you noticed any difference when you eat eggs more or less often? Share your experiences and questions in the comments below. It's always helpful to hear from others in our community. If you found this information helpful, please give the video a thumbs up. It helps us know we're providing content that resonates with you. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. We share practical tips and insights like this every week to help you navigate the journey of aging with confidence and vitality. Thank you for watching and for being a part of this community. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making informed choices that support your health and happiness. Live your best life at every age.